Mercury Marquis 1979 to 1982. For the 1979 model year, the third-generation Marquis was introduced as the full-size Ford and Mercury model lines underwent downsizing. 17 inches shorter and over 1,000 pounds lighter than its 1978 predecessor, the 1979 Marquis traded places with the Cougar as the longest Mercury vehicle, prior to its own downsizing for 1980. For the first time since 1955, the full-size Mercury station wagon was produced with a curb weight under 4,000 pounds. Although the redesign of the Marquis resulted in an exterior footprint smaller than that of the intermediate segment Mercury Cougar sedan, the Marquis gained interior space over its predecessor through a taller roof line, contributing to improved visibility through increased glass area, and redesigned seats. For 1983, the full-size Marquis was rebranded as the Grand Marquis. The third-generation Marquis design continued production through the 1991 model year. The third-generation Marquis is based upon the rear-wheel drive Ford Panther platform. Developed for the downsizing of the full-size Ford Motor Company product ranges, the architecture is an evolution of the previous generation chassis, introduced in 1969. For the first time in the history of the division, Mercury shared a common wheelbase with Ford, as both the Marquis and its Ford Limited counterpart adopted a 114.3-inch wheelbase, a 9.7 reduction from the previous 124 inches, 121 inches from Ford and all station wagons. For 1980, the use of the chassis was expanded as Lincoln introduced the downsized Continental and the Continental Mark V. The suspension design was revised for the Panther chassis. A double wishbone independent front suspension returned with a live rear axle, but the 3-link rear suspension was replaced with a 4-link design. Coil springs remained for all 4 wheels. The anti-lock brake and 4-wheel disc brake options were dropped, with the Panther platform receiving upgraded front disc brakes. Power brakes were standard. The third-generation Marquis marked the introduction of a powertrain lineup completely new to the model line. As a central part of downsizing, the Panther chassis adopted smaller displacement engines in the interest of fuel economy, in contrast to its Chrysler and General Motors counterparts. A V8 engine remained standard equipment for the Marquis. The 351M, 400, and 460 V8 engines were dropped, with the Marquis now powered by Windsor small block V8 engines. As Ford transitioned to metric engine displacement designations at the end of the 1970s, the standard engine for the Marquis was now a 4.9 liters V8, rounded up to 5.0 liters, to distinguish it from the 4.9 liters i6. The rebranded 302 V8 was shared with the Cougar, Monarch, and Zephyr. A 5.8 liters V8, the 351 from the Cougar XR7, was offered as an option. For 1980, a 4.2 liters V8, a smaller bore version of the 4.9 liters engine, became the standard engine on base trim versions of the Marquis, with the 5.0 liters V8 shifting to the Brougham and Grand Marquis. For 1981, a 4.2 liters V8 was added as the standard engine on base trim versions of the Marquis, with the 5.0 liters engine offered on 4-door versions of the Marquis Brougham and Grand Marquis. In 1982, the 5.8 liters V8 was dropped from the Marquis line in the US but continued to be offered in Canada. In 1979-81 the 351M was offered in Canadian spec cars with the optional heavy-duty towing package only paired to the C6 transmission. When introduced for 1979, both V8 engines were paired with a 3-speed select shift automatic. For 1980, the Marquis received the 4-speed auto-overdrive automatic transmission as standard equipment with the 4.2 liters V8 and was offered as an option with the 5.0 liters and 5.8 liters engines. For 1982, the AUD became the sole transmission for all 3 engines.